Miller, broker of Market House Realty, here with Erin Slade, mortgage lender for First Community Bank. And we brought you here to ask you about credit today. So many misconceptions. And credit, I think, is this scary topic because we all know that we're kind of at the mercy of somebody else, and we think we do a good job of paying stuff. We never have late payments. But it's really a formula, and that's super confusing. And I know we've talked before about buyers that maybe go and like pay off things they think to get things down, buyers who think they can't buy. I was even surprised to learn the one time where somebody had some debt and they had to get their ratios down, but they actually looped that into the closing. So they paid off debt and in essence really got everything financed at a lower rate. So talk to us about how that kind of works and what that looks like for the typical buyer and what their first step should be if they're a little uncertain.
So we hear this a lot. I know agents hear it, lenders hear it, that people think that they're not ready to buy because they're worried about their credit. And the best way to answer that question is talk to a mortgage lender. Let us take a look at your credit. So if you think you want to buy in 6 months, a year, in 2 months, let's just go ahead and have a conversation, because the things that are out there, I Google stuff all the time. I will tell you 95% of what I read is probably not really correct when it comes to real world application of things that you need to do for your credit. So we know what works. Some of it doesn't make sense, but you kind of have to play the game in theory. And that's what we're here for, is let's sit down and talk about it. So we were discussing earlier, some people think they have horrible credit and they have great credit. And some people think they have great credit and we need a little work, because it affects your score. Sometimes you could move forward with a loan based on your current credit score, but maybe 2 months worth of work can put you in a whole different tier. And if you're spending a couple $100,000, an eighth of in your rate can save you significant money over time, or even a half a point. So it's worth it to have a discussion. So some of the things, like you said, people think, oh, I need to pay all this off. We'll start with collections. Sometimes we don't want you to touch a collection. And what determines that is the age and how much and where it's from. Consumers want to know what the answers to all those are. And if you, again, Google it and look out there, you think, I need to pay these collections off because I want to buy a house. Don't. Talk to somebody first, because sometimes paying off collections will actually lower your score, which is a nightmare to a lot of people, because they monitor their credit, they pay the collection off, and then their score drops, and it's very deflating and frustrating. Which
you think you're doing a good thing.
Yes, exactly. So that's exactly right. So, and then there's other things, and I've tested this on myself. Anything that people tell me, I try to pre-test to make sure it's for real. So I used to pay my credit card off to zero every month. And sometimes paying it off to zero, your score will stay the same, but it won't go up. So I had heard a little thing at a conference call I was on with FICO about leaving a small balance, $5 or $10. So I did that for a couple of months and monitored my score, and my scores went up like 25 points. But I know, it's the game. We have to play the game. So there's little tips that, especially if we have time, that the lender can review a credit report. I do something a little different. I actually put together what's called a plan of action. I type it up. I tell you what your scores are. I say, this is how you can monitor for free. This is what you need to do. Exactly this. And if you do these steps today, you'll be ready in 2 months, 6 months, a year sometimes. But that way you have some references to go back to, because it can be overwhelming. It's, nobody wants to talk about credit. It's like, la, 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 I don't want to talk about it. And it's not a bad idea. We go to the doctor once a year, hopefully. You have vehicle checkups on your car. Why not check your credit? It impacts so many things. So why not have us take a look at it? It affects your insurance. Sometimes it affects if you have to put a deposit down on utilities. It affects your mortgage rate. So it's not a bad idea if you're thinking about buying. Let's just go ahead and have a conversation. It doesn't, on my end, it doesn't cost a dime to pull your credit report and review.